President Trump's ceasefire agreement in Gaza absolutely requires Hamas to disarm. Well, instead, that terror group is rebuilding its forces.
At the same time, a new report says the Palestinian Authority is increasing its pay-to-slay payments for terrorists and their families. Paul Petit brings us the story from Jerusalem.
More than a month into the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, the agreement remains on shaky ground. While the truce is officially in place, the IDF reports hundreds of violations by Hamas that began just weeks after the October deal. This week, Hamas terrorists opened fire on Israeli troops operating within the yellow line that divides Gaza between Israeli forces and the Palestinians. Israel responded with an airstrike that killed the chief of Hamas's naval forces and a major hostage operative. The second phase of the U.S.-brokered ceasefire plan calls for Hamas to disarm, but Israel says the terror group is not only refusing to lay down its weapons, it's actually rearming. According to Israeli defense officials, Hamas has begun stockpiling weapons in other regions, such as Yemen and African nations, with the intention of smuggling them back into Gaza later on.
The investigation into the Hamas terror network is currently also examining the possible involvement of Hamas elements in Turkey in promoting the intention to carry out attacks, some which have already been exposed. This is because Turkey is an operational arena for Hamas operatives in the past and in the present.
At the same time, Hamas is said to be coordinating with Hezbollah and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard in Iran to revive the axis of resistance against Israel. From terror tunnels to the White House, President Trump hosted a delegation of nearly all the freed Israeli hostages, calling them heroes. Trump singled out Israeli tank soldier Matan Angrest for praise.
He was put through hell, I guess, but Matan never broke. And today's living testimony to the toughness, heart, and faith of the Jewish people. But we need great inspiration to everybody.
Meanwhile, U.S. officials say the F-35 jets intended for Saudi Arabia will be less advanced than those operated by Israel, preserving Israel's qualitative military edge, according to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In Jerusalem, Netanyahu also reiterated that there will be no Palestinian state, even if that means sacrificing normalized relations with Saudi Arabia.
Our opposition to a Palestinian state in any area west of the Jordan, this opposition exists and it remains and has not changed one bit.
And on another front, Israel's foreign affairs minister says the Palestinian Authority, despite claiming it has stopped payments to terrorists and their families, has actually dramatically increased them. Gideon Sa'ar shared the post on X, showing that pay-to-slay payments went from $144 million in 2024 to $214 million so far in 2025, before the year is even over. Paul Petit, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, Israel can win every single battle. It just seems to be incredible that they can never win the peace. The ideology of hatred aimed at them that has been consistent since even before 1948. When you go back into the history of the British Mandate, the attacks against the Jewish settlements were frequent. They were so frequent that when you look at the architecture of the kibbutzes, they all have a watchtower. They are all fenced in. And the reason is their Arab neighbors wanted to attack them and attack them frequently. So if you look at that history, what's being played out today shouldn't be any kind of surprise. The massacre of Hebron all the way back in 1929 just seems to be played out again and again and again. My question is, when will the Western world, the so-called civilized world, which should be controlling the UN, which should be controlling these international courts, which should be controlling the world's public opinion, when will it identify the ideology of hate underlying Hezbollah, underlying Hamas? It's going to require more than just saying they're a terrorist group. The fundamental essence of this is to wipe Israel off the map and to forbid Jews from ever being in Israel. That is the hatred that's now being spread around the world. And my great concern is it seems to be infecting even Christians. It just doesn't make any sense to me for any student of the Bible to think otherwise. But here we are, and here Hamas, even though it was defeated and soundly defeated, is trying desperately to rearm, and they want to wipe Israel off the map. That's their goal. They've been very plain about it. Let's finally believe them.